Hello, this is Brendan, and in a continuation from the last episode, 101, this is 102. And you can look in the last episode to see where I started off sketching these, a bit of explanation in the background. It was, by now these are just my character illustrations, and they're not for any particular reason, I'm just playing around. But we're inspired by some of the art from Wayne Reynolds, and I explained that in the last video. Just look there if you want to. So we're going to do, it's like 8:20 now. I'm going to go up to, I guess, 30. Just do 10 minutes. I'm trying to experiment with doing 10 minutes a day because I keep feeling bad for not, keeping up with my channel. And continuation from there. And I'm just trying to play with, you see this one GIMP brush they have for, well, it's supposed to be a sponge, I guess, what they call it. They call it a cell. But it has a sponge-like look to it, and I think it kind of looks like scaly. So I use that because this character, I didn't really think of this in advance. I just, as I explained in the last video, it all just came to be. But I thought he or she looked kind of either like a plant person or a fish person or something, reptilian perhaps. So I thought the scales would look good there. Let me zoom in here. I think that turned out pretty good, the way the texture of the face is. Doesn't always have to be like that. But this stuff is starting to remind me of some of the, I haven't looked at comics in a long time, but it was around late 90s, no, I should say early 2000, that this type of style where, artists were using a lot of texture and stuff was coming out. And it's taken me, well, way too long to catch up with that kind of stuff. I guess, I didn't do digital back then. That was kind of why. I did use texture, but we depended upon the texture of the paper usually, and it's a lot harder to, do stuff like that, I guess. Although Wayne Reynolds, he does that in acrylic. Look him up, definitely. Really, really good artist. And so now I'm going to continue with this one, the base color. And the base color, as you can see here, if I remove it, I have that. Again, I covered this in the last one. So I'm just going to continue with the mood here. Do my little trick, which also in the last video, get a base color. I'll show you this little trick to just to select one character in this situation. If you're watching now, it's quite obvious. Well, if you use GIMP a lot, or if you use GIMP at all, or even if you don't use GIMP. Basically, I'm selecting the opposite of everything and then deselecting the stuff I don't want. So I'm left with that selection right there. And I'm going to go up to the mood. This cat guy here is supposed to have sort of a paisley design in there. And I was just about to, before I started the video, I was just thinking, how am I going to get, since I'm big on the textures now, a fur kind of texture in there. We'll have to see what I can do, what I can't do. And where am I going? I want to just add a little mood to this. I'm just going to use the same colors I had here from before. Or, actually, no, I'm not. Let me try something else. Go with a deep red and rise it up from the bottom. There's no reason for this. I just, why is that kind of, oh yeah, the opacity of the layer isn't all the way up. Well, there is a reason for that. It's called mood. The layer is called mood, and that's so what I'm trying to do is just add a little bit of mood. It's just a trick. It's like a cheap trick. Just saves me a few steps of, well, a lot of stuff. It makes it look like there's a sort of a light source nearby, and it's kind of tapering off. Try that again. Now we're going to do right with this yellow, so it'll make you think there's a light source overhead and it's coming down, and it's a soft light. That's why I call it mood. I don't know if there's a name for this, and I don't know if it's a good way of going about things. It's just what I'm doing. So I'll give you an idea. I'll zoom into a couple of these characters here. If I turn off the mood, look at what happens there. And that's not bad. You could go with that look, but notice how adding a mood just kind of, I don't want to say flattens everything out, but it adds mood to it. That's why I call it mood. It's just, it's giving a unified kind of color and gradient to everything, so it doesn't feel I'm not sure how to say it. It doesn't feel like a coloring book, basically, where everything's so choppy. In reality, everything, things don't look like a coloring book. There's going to be some sort of ambient light and ambience in general, perhaps. So now I go back to light and shade. And I have, with a brush now, so here's where the problem comes in. I don't know exactly, I haven't made a plan for this yet to make like fur. The one thing I could do, let me see if there's an easy brush in here. No. Well, what I might do in this case then is just use a soft brush and just do it how you do it normally. Just going to add some light. Basically adding light and shade wherever I think it's needed. I think his eyebrows, I mean, he's a cat, but I gave him eyebrows anyway. Uh-oh. That's not good. Alright. Right around here I can see his eyebrows. Cat brows. Cat eyebrows. I don't know, it's weird. Normally, well, I mean, now I can see something I didn't realize before, that I'm not as good at shading cats, or doing the light and shade for cats. I'm not gonna let myself get hung up on it, really. So go with dark blue, dark blue. I know where the light source is. Let's see if it's dark enough. Yeah. I'm just gonna wing it with this one because I honestly just don't know. I'm not as comfortable like doing cats every day. With people, okay. And I think is the light exactly? Is it kind of above him and behind him, or is it in front of him? So regardless, it's above him, so there should definitely be cast shadow underneath this, which is like a collar. I did like a fancy designer collar. Figured a cat man might still like to have a little class, a little collar about him. And this is supposed to be sort of an earring. There's a stick, a piercing. That's what we'll call it. Not an earring, really. That's okay. Yeah. I mean, I might need to come back, and I'm gonna have to think about this one and come back to it a bit. That's not too bad, though. Not like that. Right. That's that. I guess. For the fur, that's what I'm really worried about here. So that light and shade is a little exaggerated. Bring the, but I have all the light and shade for all of these characters on one layer. I don't want to get complicated with it, so I'm just going to turn down the opacity on this eraser. Kind of soften it up a little bit here and there. That should probably work. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah, I wasn't ready for all the complexities that came out of that. I was thinking, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's no such thing as a cat person. I guess you could go crazy with it. I think the eyes don't need to be white like that, right? They're very sketchy there too. What would be another color? I don't want to. If you put red eyes, it always makes a character look kind of creepy. A nice blue would be good. It has to be a little light. And put that opacity up. See what happens. Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize it. All of his other, yeah, his blue and purple a lot here and there. I'm not sure how the blue will work with the other colors, but we'll see. White highlight his eyes here. That's good. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. And then I don't know what I'm going to do for, I'll just have to play with it a little. One thing you can do, this is, I mean, you don't want it to take too long, that's the whole point. Let's grab his coat color here, his fur color, and bring it down like that. And I just added a new layer, right? So with fur, it's always like, it does kind of have a pattern to it. And it's usually, I'm doing this a little backwards, it's usually very, very, I want to use the word fine, which is obviously suitable for a cat, but it's not even to say fine, it's very organized. It's surprisingly well organized, the fur on like all animals. So if I did that, and then I'm going to cut that. I tried to cut it. Did it work? Yeah. Okay. And so then, after you cut it, it's automatically put in your palette there. I'm going to try and paint it with that. Right. So now I can go around like this. And it should be very, very organized. Kind of around like this or like that. See, that's actually kind of working. And then I can rotate it. Over here I have an angle. Let me see if that comes out right now. This way or that way? Oh, that's too much. I think it's the other way. Yeah, right. A little bit more. Right. And you can kind of go around like that. See, that does kind of have that fur-like feeling to it. Feline feeling. That's an example of one way to go about it, although I don't know if I'm going to stick with that. So for right now, I'll turn the opacity down. So even if you put the opacity down just so it has that general feeling from a distance, that might actually work. So I'm going to play around with that. That's all for this video, this brief 10 minutes review of these. I like this character. I guess I'm going to call it a she. Kind of feels kind of female. You never know. This guy, everybody else looks kind of like a classy like character that could be in some kind of magic or fantasy scene. And then there's this guy, and he just kind of like sort of looks like he has a t-shirt and doesn't shave. He's not clean cut. So I don't know. I was thinking maybe by the time if I draw his whole body out, maybe he does have some armor on or something like that, and he's kind of a casual warrior, right? Maybe he's like a vagabond swordsman or something. And then he could have an interesting story where he's actually an expert swordsman, and you know, after people see how good he looks like a bum, but after you get to know him, he's, you know, maybe like the best in the country at whatever he does, has some talents. You know, that old kind of character where they're so talented that they, you know, they don't care about anything, or maybe has a broken heart or something. You just make it up. It's a classic kind of character. And this guy has a sort of a Buddha kind of feeling to him. Happy and fat. So, yeah, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, let me know. Requests, I will be coming up with a new lesson soon. I think animals are in the menu next coming up. People like to draw animals. I've heard that more than once. People want to see, you know, more animal drawings. So I might make a course on that. I have some good tips for drawing animals. And that's it for today. Don't forget to smack that like button or subscribe if you want to get more later. Definitely more stuff coming in. Go to bschu.net to get all my newsletter. And have a great day. Don't forget to keep drawing. Keep it real. See ya.